How do you go on vacation and stick to your budget? That is a question I'm going to help answer on this show today, so stay tuned. Hola, hola. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be back. And one of my New Year's resolutions this year is to travel a whole lot more. And luckily, I have a few trips planned already. And that does not mean that I don't try to get on a budget, even on vacation. I know that seems like so hard for some people to think about. It may seem restrictive to you, but honestly, staying within my boundaries that I've set myself not only helps me keep promises to myself, but it helps me maximize the traveling that I want to do. You see, if I just go all out in one or two trips, then that's fine. But I want to be able to maximize and go on maybe 4 to 5 trips this year. And so in order to do that, I need to keep my promises. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen that I shared how I'm going to go on a trip to Washington State in the next few days and how I have planned some of that in order to stay within my budget and stay consistent, right? Or really accountable to myself. So my husband did the itinerary. We are taking his parents and then my family's there. So it's going to be a really big family reunion. And so we are going to be going to some of the places we've already gone, but because we have a lot of family that has never been, it's going to be really nice to experience that first time with them. So one is like the Space Needle. And one of my favorite things to see is a museum of pop culture. And so some of those things have entrance fees. And so when my husband did the itinerary of everything that he wants to show our family, I then put a dollar amount next to it. And so if you've never been to a city that you might be visiting and you don't really know how much these things are, you might want to go on the website if you're going to like museums or you're going to specific places that have entrance fees. You can see what those are on their website most of the time. And so that's what I did. I actually don't remember how much I paid to get up to the Space Needle. So I went on the website, I looked up exactly how much it is. And I think prices vary depending on the day. So I just went with the highest day. And then I put a dollar amount next to each of the things in the itinerary and how much it would be for all three of us. It's only my daughter who's joining us, my husband and I. So all three of us to get into all these places. And so when I did that, I then took it another step and I pulled out cash for all of this. And so I have envelopes that I filled up with each of the things in our itinerary. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me holding up the envelopes. If you're not listening on YouTube, then you can go to my IG stories and you can see exactly what I talked about if you go to the bubble that says travel. So I talk about how in my Instagram, how my daughter is accustomed to this way of traveling. I give her an amount that she is going to manage on the trip. And that's going to be for her entrances. That's going to be for her meals. And yes, I do make her pay for her meal while she's on the trip. I've already given her an envelope with $180 for the weekend. And so that should get her all the meals that we plan to eat out and the entrances to all the places. Now, if she plans to spend more than that, she can use her own money that she's earned with her jobs. And so this helps not only us, but it helps like just keep the costs down. Also, like I said before, this doesn't really make us feel restrictive at all. It actually gives us freedom. And there is an envelope that I have that is for extra money. And this envelope is one where, if something comes up that is not planned on the itinerary, this would be where I would pull it from. If, let's say, I have $100 planned for a meal at one of our very favorite Thai food restaurants. If we go all out and we get appetizers and, all the things, and we go above $100, then I'll just pull from the extra money envelope. Now, what happens if, for example, I have to swipe a card because it's forcing me to when you are parking in the streets of Seattle? And I know that that's something that could happen. And honestly, I'm not really worried about it because whether it's $2, $5, $10, that doesn't change our world. We can totally use our debit card for that. But also, if you really want to, keep costs down and really manage your money to another extent, you could get a prepaid card. You can leave some money in your bank account to account for parking. There's so many ways that you can do that. But for us, like $10 is not a big deal. But it's the bigger purchases that can really detour us from what the plan is and can really start affecting the vacation budget that is going to be helpful in the future. So, if we go over, nothing really happens. We'll just pull from our vacation fund a little more, and that's fine. Not everybody has that luxury, and I understand. But for purposes of just keeping accountable and really keeping our word, we are going to try our best to stick to our $770 budget for all the things we want to do. And that is one way to do it. And I know a lot of people may be hesitant to carry cash. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with carrying cash. You actually feel the transaction happening. You can feel money being exchanged when you have cash. And another great benefit that many of us don't talk about is not using a credit card is actually true freedom. To me, I feel like not having a bill show up at the end of the month that I have to pay next month is awesome. Think about it. I can come back from Seattle at the end of next week and just continue planning my next trip. I don't have to think about any of the monies that were used for the Seattle trip. I don't have a bill to open. I don't have to think about how I'm going to make this work in my budget. It's done. And that is something that nobody talks about. There is a sense of stress that comes when you open a credit card bill. It just does. When you swipe a card, you don't feel the money. You don't feel the money leaving. You don't feel the money that is being used. And so sometimes we tend to spend more. And honestly, the truth is that there are so many studies and research shows that you tend to spend more, whether you use a debit card or a credit card, if you aren't using cash. So cash is the way to go. I probably wouldn't carry more than $1,000 in my wallet. But I feel very safe taking these $770. I know that some of these envelopes my husband will be holding, and then I'll be holding most of them because of my purse. But I have a crossbody. I feel super safe. It really just depends on what's happening. I know like when I travel in other countries, it's a little different. I wait to, exchange my money in the other country so that I have that currency. So I do things a little differently depending on where I'm going. So I hope this is helpful. And yes, you can use the envelope system even when you're on vacation. It just really helps me not overspend at one place and knowing that I have all these other places that I want to go and enjoy. So it's freedom within boundaries, within limits. So I hope that helps. If you are interested in working with me, I am more than happy to help you through the budgeting and making sure you have enough savings, that you have a fund for, your vacations, and all the things you want to do, because all of those goals are important. And so if that's something you're interested in, please go to debtfreelatina.com and book a 15-minute discovery call with me, and let's talk through how I can help you. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for being here.